Game scope today. Forspoken is an action RPG developed by Luminous Productions that tells the story of a young woman named Frey who finds herself trapped in a magical world called Athi. The game's world building is intriguing, with a mysterious miasma called the Break that transforms living creatures into monsters. However, the game struggles to fully immerse players in its world and make them care about the characters and their struggles. In Forspoken, the protagonist Frey finds herself trapped in the magical world of Ath after stumbling through a portal. She forms a connection with a sentient race she names Cuff and encounters a group of survivors living in the last city that is unaffected by a deadly miasma. This blight, referred to as the Break, covers the land and turns living creatures into mutated monsters. Frey is the only exception, making her the perfect candidate to explore the Break, locate its source, and destroy it. The narrative setup is intriguing, but it falls short due to dull and unappealing characters. It is difficult to connect with Frey, who is stubborn and aloof, Cuff, who is incessantly sarcastic, or the survivors who rely heavily on Frey's protection while asking her to complete mundane tasks. The story in Forspoken is about belonging, finding a place to call home, and people to protect. Like many Isakai protagonists, Frey is initially resistant to her new surroundings, but eventually discovers that she is well suited for the world she is trapped in. The gameplay of Forspoken is also problematic. The open world is lacking in interesting activities, and the side quests are uninspired. The movement mechanics, such as Frey's parkour, are enjoyable, but the combat is clunky and lacks strategy. The magic spells are visually impressive, but lack depth in their use. The game's sound design and musical score are strong, but are often overshadowed by unfunny and poorly written quips from the protagonist. Overall, while there are some enjoyable elements in Forspoken, the game ultimately fails to deliver a cohesive and engaging experience. The players may have questions about Frey's motivations, and the game failed to provide a compelling reason for her involvement. The story lacked depth and failed to establish a strong emotional connection with the player. This resulted in me constantly asking, why should Frey care about the events unfolding in the game? And the game never provided a satisfactory answer, with little to keep you in the last remaining city of human life in Athea. You are encouraged to explore the wider world. Frey is able to move quickly and gracefully through the environment using Frey's parkour abilities and magic spells. Although this creates an enjoyable fluidity of movement, the lack of precision makes platforming and navigating enclosed spaces frustratingly difficult. The game's movement mechanics encourage a more free-form style of exploration, while combat requires precision timing and strategic use of magic. This creates a disconnect between the two elements of the game, resulting in an overall lack of cohesion. Frey's wide variety of powerful magic abilities are visually impressive, but lack depth and strategy in their use. The gameplay in Forspoken is disjointed, with movement and combat feeling at odds with one another. The movement mechanics are exhilarating, allowing for a free-form style of exploration and parkour-like abilities. However, combat requires precision and strategy, which is difficult to achieve when moving quickly through the environment. The lack of precision also makes platforming and levels within enclosed spaces frustratingly difficult. The game's combat system relies heavily on exploiting enemy weaknesses, but this quickly loses its sense of enjoyment as it becomes mindlessly easy. The movement mechanics are more enjoyable, especially as new mechanics are unlocked and chained together in the latter half of the game, Forspoken lacks in creating a believable and compelling world for players to become invested in, and the characters and their struggles fail to emotionally connect with the players. The game's attempts to rapidly transform Frey into a hero through a single chapter of exposition falls short, as it does not adequately address her emotional and mental development. Forspoken has an interesting world and movement mechanics, but the story and characters are not compelling. The combat is visually impressive but lacks strategy, and the open world isn't interesting. The protagonist, Frey, is portrayed as an unlikable orphan, and her character development feels forced and unsatisfying. The game's sound design and musical score are highlights, but they are often overshadowed by unfunny quips and poor storytelling. Overall, while there are enjoyable moments in the game, they are often outweighed by the game's shortcomings. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.